A lot of stories that we're covering here on WRAL News. Thank you so much for joining us here. I'm Chris Levin, getting in for Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. We have you covered on what you need to know to get your day started, as well as what to know about Helene. Ken Smith is tracking your morning commute. We begin with the big weather story and Elizabeth Gardner tracking Hurricane Helene.
Right now, that storm is Category 1, but it's likely to get a little bit more organized over the next several hours and become Category 3 by the time we get to just after lunchtime. We take a look at the path of the storm. It has 90-mile-per-hour winds right now. Category 3 by about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and then potentially Cat 4 as it makes landfall here in the Big Bend of Florida. Could, again, be just a devastating storm for them. It may hold on to Category 1 strength, 80-mile-per-hour winds across parts of Georgia, and then over the weekend moves into Tennessee and just stalls and decays there. What about the impacts for North Carolina? Right here, we have a level 1 risk for severe storms for today in our southern counties. We have just a small risk for tornadoes today. We're going to see gradual increasing chances for rain. That rain will pick up as we get into the afternoon, but it's not likely to be heaviest until early tomorrow. We take a look at satellite and radar. I just wanted to show you the big picture. This stationary front is creating very heavy rain in the mountains of North Carolina. 2 to 6 inches have already fallen in most places. We have some rain back to our west across Charlotte and the Triad, and that will move in here closer to lunchtime. We should be nice and dry for the morning commute. You can see that rain well to our west. We'll watch it as it moves in. As a matter of fact, we take a look at Futurecast here and we move it ahead to about 9 or 10. We may see a few isolated showers, but that rain will pick up in coverage as we get into the afternoon and evening. Could be wet for the evening commute. Some of those pockets could be heavy, but we're not looking at a whole lot of heavy rain today. And again, just a slim chance of a tornado. The heaviest rain comes early on Friday morning and lasts until early afternoon. That's where we'd have a better chance of isolated tornadoes and the potential for some minor flooding. We're just really not looking at a whole lot of rain out of this for us. It's likely to be around 1 to 2 inches, and winds likely to be gusting 20 to 25. And so that could cause a few trees to fall, especially because it's been rather wet lately. So right here, 1 to 3 inches of rain, some isolated tornadoes, and about 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. That starts later on this afternoon and continues through Friday afternoon. But that window Friday morning is where everything is likely to be the worst. And we'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit. Ken?
All right, at 6:32, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're seeing a little bit of a slowdown, the usual trouble spots this morning in Cary on the Beltline around Jones Franklin Road, also around the Wade Avenue split there with the Beltline as well. Heading to the eastern part of Wade County this morning, we're seeing the usual slowdown down around Zebulon and the lids of the Lake Erin around Arundel Boulevard. So keep that in mind if you're about to head out. This is what it looks like right now at I-87 and Lizard Lake Road in Zebulon. You can see those westbound lanes, really the congestion building this morning. And we'll keep an eye on that and let you know how much of a delay it's going to cause you in the next 10 minutes.
Ken, thank you. Florida is getting ready for a potentially catastrophic situation as Hurricane Helene approaches the Gulf Coast. The storm could be a Category 4 hurricane by the time it makes landfall later today. Helene could also bring a storm surge of up to 20 feet when it arrives, and authorities are warning that could be life-threatening. Some counties in Florida are already under evacuation orders, and emergency shelters are now open. People all across the southeast are preparing by stocking up on groceries and water, too.
Crews are preparing for widespread power outages Helene is expected to cause across the southeast. Certainly that could include here in North Carolina. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from Duke Energy headquarters. And Kelsey, people need to get ready for what to do if they lose power.
Renee, they sure do. The folks here at Duke Energy are warning their customers in the Triangle this morning to prepare now. Check out this video of flash flooding near UNC Asheville. This flooding comes as Hurricane Helene is on a path that will barrel through Florida. Duke Energy crews are preparing for the storm in Charlotte as it's expected to have a widespread impact. We spoke with Jeff Brooks from Duke Energy about storm prep here in the Triangle. He says they're prepared to use what's called self-healing technology to help restore power.
This is like a GPS for the power grid. It looks for alternate ways to reroute power. It doesn't take the tree off the line or fix the broken pole. We still need our utility crews to do that, but it can reduce the number of customers impacted by the outage by as much as 75%.
Duke Energy is asking customers to notify them if they lose power. If your power goes out, you can give them a call, send a message on your Duke Energy app, or text out to 57801. For more information on storm prep across the Triangle, just go to our website, WRAL.com. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Power is out for thousands this morning in Cancun after Helene unleashed its fury there. Streets were flooded and fallen trees were reported throughout parts of Mexico. Tourists who were hoping to secure flights back home found their flights canceled or delayed.
And Renee, Western North Carolina already experienced intense weather ahead of Helene's arrival. Folks, look at this video right here of what looks like a tornado near the Chitola Resort in Blowing Rock. This video was taken around 6:30 last night. Blowing Rock's town manager says the storm took down at least 25 trees. Watauga County schools will dismiss early today to prepare for more severe weather. And WRAL has a crew headed to the mountains this morning. You can look for their live reports today starting at 4 p.m.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, Buncombe, Haywood, and other mountain counties have declared a state of emergency ahead of Helene's arrival. Code Purple will start at 10 o'clock this morning. Asheville and Buncombe County shelters and other organizations will provide emergency overflow shelters to those experiencing homelessness. And McDowell County has posted this on their Facebook page. One emergency shelter is already open. This is Glenwood Baptist Church that is in Marion, North Carolina.
And this morning at 11 o'clock, Governor Roy Cooper and emergency management leaders will give an update on the preparations for Helene. You can watch that live on Fox 50 and on WRAL News Plus. And folks, you can count on WRAL to keep you updated throughout the storm. Download the WRAL News app where you can find live radar and get alerts based on your location. Just make sure you turn those notifications on.
Back in meteorologist Anthony Baglione in the WRAL Severe Weather Center on this weather alert day, Anthony. Boy, we're tracking Helene.
Yeah, lots to talk about here with this system, and we're going to go over kind of all of it to get you a good idea of what to expect here potentially at home, help you plan here as we go through the next couple of days. I want to start off with this image, though, because this tells the story, first of all, how massive this storm system is. We don't see a storm system this size very often. It's in the top 10% here of the ones we look at. There's a couple things to note. You can kind of see an eye right about there toward the end of this loop. That would indicate that it's still strengthening. The hurricane hunters are up there currently, and they're noting that the southwestern side of that eye wall is not fully closed off yet. I do think it's almost there, and once it does, it's kind of off to the races, unfortunately, with this system for how it could strengthen potentially. It is either going to be a Category 3 or potentially a Category 4 at landfall. Winds are at 100-mile-per-hour readings right now. That's central pressure at 960 millibars. That's the measure of pressure that we use. If that continues to drop, and let's say the hurricane hunters find a reading of 955, that would say that it's strengthening, and then the winds usually catch up to that. Here's the current track, though. Takes it in as a Category 3 or 4. Keep in mind, I know the 4 is not shown on there, but that's still a potential. We get into southern Georgia, still as a Category 1 hurricane tomorrow morning, and then it is zipping up there to the north into portions of western North Carolina, even Tennessee, by the time we get through the next couple days. So it's not going to sit there, but despite that, we're still looking at some very decent rainfall totals, just concerning rainfall totals across the mountains of North Carolina. In addition, we have a severe risk across both today for, let's say, the triangle to the south, and then we also have that in place for us tomorrow. They did upgrade that risk earlier this morning. Tomorrow morning, to me, looks like the more concerning one for us for some of these cells that could rotate. We see it all the time within these tropical storm systems. There's a lot of turbulence that's going on in the atmosphere, and that may translate to the surface. So that's something we'll watch closely. Here's a look at the flooding risk today. This is the highest level that they go here. Asheville, Greenville, lots of concerns there. Potentially 5 to 10 inches of additional rainfall. They've already seen a couple of inches here the past couple of days. And then for tomorrow, it's not quite that highest category, but it's still high. So that's something we'll be watching closely. With that said, let's go through Futurecast here. Kind of time this out. We get through today. A few showers, maybe a few thunderstorms this afternoon, but the bulk of the rainfall is going to be kind of spotty, off and on, just inconvenient for us today. 8 o'clock this evening, it may try and fill in a little bit more. We'll get a break here and there, and then there's a band that may come through tomorrow morning. That would be the one as this starts to fill in. There's a look at 8 o'clock. I would take the umbrella, all of the rain gear with you, and stay weather aware tomorrow morning. We'll be on air, of course, if anything happens, and for our normal morning newscast tomorrow. Here's Here's a look at lunchtime. Some of those cells may have a rotation potential with them, and then it clears out pretty quickly. 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, if you have dinner plans on your Friday, it should be all right. It may be a little bit breezy, but this is mainly the rest of today, tonight, and then the first half of our Fridays where we'll be watching that. 80 degrees for us today, 82 tomorrow. The weekend is looking fine. A few spotty storms on Sunday. And then, guys, we get into next week, 78 Monday, 80 degrees on Tuesday, looking a whole lot quieter here after a turbulent couple days.
Yeah. Scientists are actually flying through the hurricane right now, Helene. Meteorologist Anthony Baglione showing us where they are right now. You told me, interestingly enough, this is actually not as bumpy as we think it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had a couple kind of friends that I've talked to here, and chief meteorologists actually, who have been inside of these hurricane hunter flights. And usually, a lot of times, and meteorologically speaking, it makes sense that these really big storm systems that start to get pretty organized, there's not a ton left for them to do. So there's not a whole bunch of turbulence. The storms that are trying to form, they're bubbling up convection, the tropical storms, tropical depressions, those usually are the most turbulent ones for these hurricane hunter flights. So that's just kind of an interesting fact for you. Let's talk about, though, where we sit here. The hurricane hunters are up there right now, so I wanted to bring that data to you in real time. Here's what they're seeing. Notice this big area of darker kind of colors right there. It is a very intense thunderstorm band that's trying to wrap around the center right about there, the eye that's forming here in this storm system. That central pressure right now is at 981 millibars. Again, that's the central pressure that we measure. I did see a reading a second ago when they were in the eye at 961. Keep in mind, the last update from the Hurricane Center that we got here at 8 o'clock in the morning was 960. So it may be around that. It may be a little bit stronger, but still, that's something we'll continue to keep an eye on. 100-mile-per-hour winds right now. It's a Category 2 hurricane. It is likely to be a Category 3 or 4. That potential is still there for a stronger storm system. It takes it up there into, let's say, around Tallahassee is the latest track right now. Into later on this afternoon, into this evening, it races up to the north, and it's going to really bring some decent rainfall, just some concerning rainfall, honestly, across the western parts of our state. Our flooding risk there in Asheville, that is the highest it goes on this scale. They've already seen several inches of rainfall, and they could see potentially 5 to 10 inches more here in the span of just a couple days with this storm system. That same kind of setup happens into our Friday. It's a little bit lower, but it's still pretty concerning. What we are looking at back here at home, we do have a severe risk outline from the triangle southward today, and then especially tomorrow. That severe risk goes up to level 2 out of 5. That is the one to me tomorrow morning. We may get a band coming through that could have some rotation within it. Here's lunchtime today, though. Some scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm possible. Totally possible for us, if not likely this afternoon, to get some rainfall. Here's a look at 8 o'clock. We get into tonight. There could be some kind of fluctuations where we get a little bit of a break in the rain. And then tomorrow morning, watch what happens. It really starts to pick up. And these cells that you see kind of doing this motion, they're curving around there. Those would be rotating, potentially supercells is what we call them. I don't anticipate a widespread tornado threat, but anytime we have these tropical systems coming through, you know that threat is there. We've been through tropical systems here across the area, and that potential is certainly going to be with us with this storm system. So we'll watch that closely. 80 degrees for us as we head through today, 82 into tomorrow. And by the way, we will be here through this entire storm system, keeping you covered. 83 there on Saturday, guys. The good thing here with this storm system, the weekend looks a whole lot better.